Hi, I want to invite you to draw with me today, even if it's on the back of an envelope or if it is in your sketchbook, and then share it after you've drawn with me today. I want to tell you that what you're making is important and it is worth sharing. You don't know how your art will impact someone unless you share it. Today, we're going to draw together a scripture that is Proverbs about how your words matter. And for us as artists, our pictures matter. So it really applies. I want to tell you while we're drawing that recently another person came forward that has bought my work and told me the story of the impact of that work. I'll put it right here. And it's not a complicated work, it's just a piece that I made not knowing it was for somebody. Now, if I had thought, this is too simple and nobody will like it, and not put it into the gallery, then it wouldn't have had this meaningful impact on the person that bought it, that shared what an impact it had. That's happened many times. So while you're drawing, whether it's on an envelope or a card or in your sketchbook, the thought should be, I am making this for somebody, and who that is for will find it. All right? Come on, let's go.
What you're going to need today is a pencil and something with a straight edge that you can make some straight lines with. I put a picture in the corner so you can see what our plan is here today. We're going to put on the first line, kind words. The second line we'll put like honey, sweet too. And then the third line we'll put the soul and healthy for. And then the last line we'll put the body. So we're making our lines to kind of line out where we want them to go onto our sketch page. And they don't have to be perfect. You just kind of need to get a general idea for your layout before you start drawing in your letters. The next thing we're going to do is a thing called perspective, where we're going to choose one vanishing point for the sides of our tables. So we're going to check to see where the center would be that we want. See how I'm putting it at the tip of the straight edge? Now I know that that's going to be the point, the perspective point, and put the side of the table on the right, and then move the line so that it is lined up with the dot, and then create the side of the table for the left side of the table. This way it makes it look like your table is flat. If you were to draw those straight up, then your table would look like it was sticking straight up in the air. Next, put how thick is your table. We need another line at the front, and then a thickness of the boards on the tabletop would be vertical lines. Now you need to put some table legs on, so draw two vertical lines down in the front of the table so that your table has legs. You could leave it like this, or you could go ahead and put your table legs separated. That's totally up to you for your drawing. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw our teacups, and we first need to make a ellipse. An ellipse is like a squished circle. Now whatever's on the top needs to be drawn on the bottom of your teacup. It has to be curved like the top on the bottom. Let's do it again. Draw an ellipse like a flattened circle, and then the sides of your teacup, and then remember whatever happens at the top happens at the bottom as well. There you go. It's not straight, it's curved. Perfect. Now put on your handle for your teacup. And then if you want, you can put in some liquid inside the cup, like tea, and shade that in. And we're going to have steam marks coming up from the hot tea. You can also place your teacup onto a saucer by doing the same thing with the lips a little bit larger. Now your teacup is on a saucer. Isn't that cool? Okay, so our friends are having tea. We can make some little spoons for our honey, and that's just going to have one bigger end and one smaller end, and then put a circle inside of it so it looks like it has an indentation like a spoon. Great, now we have spoons for our honey and our tea. All right, now we're going to figure out our words, and we want to start with the center words so we can make sure we don't squish them off to one side or the other. So I'm going to start with the word W, and you can make it a block letter or you can make it a fat. The word is the word that we're making. Now, if you're really good to go with your lettering, you can go ahead and speed it forward, but be sure to stay till the end of this video and I'll do a flip through of my sketchbook so you can see several sketches in this same manner. And remember that it doesn't matter how complicated your sketches are. These sketches are conveying your point of view about something. So it's totally fine if you have simpler sketches or you have really complicated sketches. The idea is to get the idea across. That's what illustration is about. Now, I went ahead and kept going with my block letters, but I also want to show you that if you want, you can just sketch out the words plain first with regular letters just to get your spacing right. So I'm doing the center first of the word that's about in the middle of that line. And then I can create what's after that and what's before that and make it all fit evenly. It's kind of a trick for making a lot of banners and signs too, like for yard sales or anything really. So now I'm switching to just write out the words casually with regular letters, and then I'll come back and thicken them. You're creating your second line of the proverb. 1624 is the number of proverb that we're working on from the Bible. And this one's like honey, comma, sweet. I try to stay with the same font, but sometimes I forget and I don't have the same font, and that's okay. Sometimes it looks cool if you mix up your fonts, or you do some letters in a lowercase letter and some letters in an uppercase letter. It's really just up to you. Whatever you think looks good and whatever matches the idea that you're trying to get across for your drawing is perfectly fine. So while we're doing the lettering, I wanted to chat a little bit about the kind words and them being like honey. Isn't kind words awesome when someone gives them to you? I think that if we really set out every day to try to encourage each other and be positive and make someone's day just by giving them a simple little time on a phone call, a meeting for coffee or tea, as we have here, or even just a lunch break kind of chat and just listening. Those kind words and encouraging words could mean a huge difference in somebody's life. And it's really not that hard or not that big of an investment. So writing out Proverbs 16:24 under the table, you can put it anywhere you want in your drawing. And then on the Next section, we're going to be using pens. So if you wanted to pause this and go and grab some pens, if you only have a ballpoint pen, that's fine. If you have some micron pens, those are usually my go-to. Micron pens have a lot of different sizes, and the brush pen is more for script, but sometimes I'll use that for headings on notes or sketches. And then you can go down from there. The smaller the font that you want to make, then the smaller the nib or tip of the pen that you should pick. My favorite go-to is the .05, and so I usually end up buying that one size pen like 3 or 4 times before any of the other pens run out. Put down in the comments, what kind of pens do you like? What are your favorite things to sketch with other than pencil? I know a lot of people are really having a lot of fun with markers right now, and those are cool. I'm wondering if they might bleed through my paper. So I'm going to stick with my micron pens and pencil on this sketchbook. And for those of you that have not done the previous video where I did a sketchbook of the Proverbs, this is a sketchbook that my youngest son got for me on one of his trips, and I thought it would be fun for me to draw Proverbs through the whole sketchbook and then give it back to my granddaughter, when she's older. Right now she's only 1, so I have plenty of time, right? Right now I'm using the brush pen, and it's a little bit hard to control when you're doing letters, but I like the thicker line for the largest heading on any of the sketches. After kind words, I'm going to switch to a smaller one so that it's a little bit easier to do the lines that are following in this drawing. S's are the most tricky, so you kind of want to get the hang of those, making the thickness of them with your pencil first, and then just go over it with your pen. Alright, I'm back now with the number 1 pencil, which is still pretty thick and visible pretty good. And I'm going to go through and do all of the letters on the next portion. Again, if you don't want to move along slowly with me, you can go ahead and speed it forward and take a look at the sketchbook sketches. But I kind of wanted to leave this video in a real time so that it allows you to be able to draw this picture with me instead of just watching. So I hope you have your paper out and your pen and you're working along as well with your lines of text. And while we're working on our lines of text, let me tell you a little bit about what I was talking about in the first part of the video, where making these sketches for other people, you don't know when you're working on something who it's really for unless you put it out there. And more times than I can count, someone has contacted me later after purchasing something to tell me how meaningful that piece was. And recently someone contacted me through Instagram and told me how important a little sculpture was that she bought while she was traveling through town, that most people would have thought was not very complicated or important. That's happened so many times, guys, where someone has said, I could not stop thinking about that painting, so I went back and I had to buy it. Or this piece that you made that's a sculpture is exactly the point in time when I met my husband and we were swinging in the park at night looking at the stars. Even if you don't create that work that's got that specific meaning that you intend, you don't know who's going to come with their own life experiences and their own background and see something different and have a connection with what you make. So I really want to express to you how important it is that you share what you make, that you don't be afraid that no one's going to like it or it's not good enough, that your skill isn't careful enough, or that you feel like it's not as good as another person's art. You have a unique point of view. There's nobody else that's got the point of view that you have, and you don't know how that piece might be something that someone else needs at some point in their life. So I want to encourage everybody to just make, even if it's to give it away. Make it and share it. Now, of course, make sure that you keep photographs of everything that you make so that you can catalog everything. And if you are selling work, you want to make sure that you have records up to date. But it's really important to me to let everybody know out there that you don't have to wait until your artwork is perfect. Just like you don't have to wait to go to church or to know Jesus. You don't have to be perfect. You can be, come as you are, and you're accepted. So here we are, almost at the end. We have the why. Next, we're probably going to need a real thin, fine line for our teacups. So switch and get a finer line for those drawing portions. Now on mine, I'm not shading them because in my mind, my granddaughter might want to color them in kind of like a coloring book. So I'm trying to keep my drawings as crisp and open contour lines, like outlines of things, so that she can fill them in if she wants. But you're welcome to use color pencils or crayons or color markers, whatever your heart desires to color your drawing in after we ink it. The thing about inking it is that it makes everything real crisp and the lines they stand out. Now we're almost to the end here, and I want to remind you that if you want to see more sketches, that you can stay till the end of the video and I do a walkthrough, a flip through of my sketchbook. And if you're interested in doing more of these on a regular basis, then let me know in the comments and we will try to do more of these like we're doing now, where it's real time, we're drawing together. And if you'd like to do some drawing together live, also put that down in the comments so that I know that that's something that will have some interest, and then I'll figure out what day and so forth that we can all meet up. Okay, I switched to the thicker pen to do the sides of the table here. You can tell it's a thicker line pen. And again, use a straight edge and it makes it nice and crisp and clean on the edge of your table. Do the back of your table. Isn't it cool how perspective makes the table look flat? And then we're going to do the front of the table. And don't forget the thickness of that table. How thick that table is that second line. And your little vertical lines to stop that top. And we're just going to put in the 2 front legs just to keep the focal point on those cups. And imagining 2 friends having some tea with honey and talking about all the good things. Okay, I switched back to the little thin line for the steam coming up from the tea. And up to the top, I decided to put some decorations just to make the kind words, 2 words, different than the rest. Also, let's take a look at doing just a little bit of 3D look on the word soul to make it stand out. Now, when you're doing the shading, you want to do just the one side, and S is the most tricky because you want to do the shading of the side on the top, the side on the bottom, and then the end wherever it stops on the outside. Now we're going to do the same side on the U, and then we're going to go ahead and do the inside of the O. See how they're all on the same side? And then the inside edge of the L, and then the top of the L. So it gives it sort of a 3-dimensional look. Thank you for coming and doing this drawing with me today. I really appreciate your time and effort. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. It really helps a lot. And then here is the walkthrough, as promised, of my sketchbook, and I hope you enjoy.